that with, oh, who's going to jail and whatever, I don't get into. What gets me is the other stuff in between, like what's the villain doing and what's the, how's the team reacting, things like that. Still, have you seen the episode yet where Team Flash got shrunk?
Wait, this says I'm live, but I never had a blue start button. So
I have. Are we live right now?
we're live.
Well, then maybe I should push go live too, because I'm waiting for
Well,
you.
no, I mean, I clicked on start streaming on OBS, and now it's live, even though I didn't have a blue go live button.
Well, guess what? We're going live on my channel too.
Sorry, guys.
So,
Welcome to Kingdom of Honor. I'm your host, Sandman Shane Sabuni. This is my good buddy Jeff, and we're professional as always.
and
Um,
if you guys were listening, we need to finish this discussion because this is greatness. Um, have you gotten to the episode yet of Flash where the team got shrunk?
no.
Okay, hysterical. That's all I'm gonna say. Wait till you get there. It's hilarious. Anyway, guys, love you. Glad you're here.
Um, Jeff, before we start talking about Summer Struggle, I think we should talk a little bit about the announcement
Flat.
of the Kenny Omega Pretty Woman Championship coming up in New Japan.
Oh my God, stop.
Did you hear about this?
Yes, I did. So dumb,
It's so weird. I mean, it's not just dumb. It's weird because New Japan just doesn't do gimmick matches,
right?
and we're gonna have a tournament full of gimmick matches.
Well, and it was the brainchild of Okada, so
Right.
it's got to be good. Unless this is leading to an Okada change of character, nothing good is going to come of this. Nothing.
Okada's gonna win the damn thing too.
Well, yeah, and
It
you
gives
know,
him,
I was,
but the good thing about it is it gives him something to do that keeps him away from Bullet Club because how many times can we see him face Yujiro Takahashi
yeah, I can't.
and keeps him away from the world title scene for a while.
The one thing about NJPW that I've loved is they're not into gimmick matches. They had that ladder match with Omega and Elgin. Have they had one since? Did they have one before?
No, and
Have you ever
they very rarely even have a triple threat match.
have you ever seen a cage match in NJPW? I
They're probably
haven't.
going to now.
But I'm just saying that is the one thing about NJPW I've loved is they're able to tell their stories, get their final outcomes, everything about it without all that stupid shit.
No, I mean what we see gimmick matches from NJPW are typically just like your no holds barred matches. Or we had that amazing hair versus hair match between Goto and Minoru Suzuki. I mean that's pretty much it as far as their and two out of and of course we saw the 2 out of 3 falls between Omega and Okada. But yeah, I mean usually NJPW is just straight ahead wrestling storytelling.
But even 2 out of 3 falls, that's still a wrestling match. That's not as much as we like to look at it as a gimmick match, ultimately it's still a wrestling match. There's no last man standing matches. I mean, there's no cage matches or table matches or lawn fucking dart matches. None of that.
Lawn dart matches.
I kind of want to see one, to be honest.
That's funny. Is like just Kota Ibushi like trying like however if Kota Kota Ibushi can throw the hardest into one of the ring posts when he's doing that move.
It would have to be Kota Ibushi only because of the bumps he takes on the corner on the edge of the ring.
Yeah, it's got to be Kota versus Hiromu.
Naito. No, Kota versus Naito.
No, well you said you never want to
Because
see Kota versus Naito again though.
yeah, but if two people are going to kill each other with lawn darts, those are the two people that are going to do it.
All right, fair enough.
And speaking of which, Hiromu's hurt again. Do you know how sad that makes me?
Is he really hurt though, or is it just a storyline? I really have no idea.
It's hard to tell because he didn't look hurt in that match. That Kevin Kelly kept saying, "Oh, he was hurt during this and was advised to stay on the floor and whatever." He didn't look hurt. He looked fine.
Yeah, but he did wear the the KT tape um in the match after the first time of struggle match after He lost to Evil.
Well, the KT tape could be storyline. I'm just wondering if it's a way to sell the fact that he tapped. To make Okada's move look stronger than it really is. Because remember, he just passed out to Okada's move, but he tapped to that move.
Yeah, but we've seen it. It's not like we haven't seen Hiromu tap before, though.
Right, but
That
that's what I'm saying.
that was my big complaint in 2017 was really you're going to push this guy to the moon, and now he's going to tap out to the hoverboard lock.
But remember, Hiromu in 2016, 2017, even into 2018, was kind of a comedy character.
No, remember 2017 is when he came out like a house of fire and he destroyed. He beat uh, Kushida at Wrestle Kingdom. Then he
Right.
beat him in like 4 minutes at New Beginning in Osaka, and then Kushida got through the best of the Super Juniors, and then beat him in the Super Juniors, and then also at Dominion to win the title.
But he also came up and he came out wearing that helmet and shoulder pads and everything when he
That was
confronted.
yeah, that was after it.
Okay, I'm just saying, we've seen from uh, Hiromu before that he's not super weak. So I think this might be more of a trying to put over Okada's new move more so than saying Hiromu's hurt. So I'm buying the storyline that Hiromu's hurt, but I see where you're coming from that it might be just a play because they want to get over Okada's new move. And the fact that he passed out to Okada's own move made him so tough, but then tapped a week later to a lesser move or by a lesser opponent. It's not like WWF where they're constantly finisher kickouts and oh you did that so I got to kick out of three of them because you kicked out of two of them. It's more of a storytelling type thing where it's like okay the reason why he tapped was because of this, not because it was a better move, but because of this.
Yeah, it's just weird because if it was a real injury, then how do they know he's going to be back for but for the 29th?
Exactly on the 29th.
Yeah, exactly on the 29th. You know.
I mean, Kevin Kelly even made that misstep where a couple times he was like, he's done with his rehab on the 27th. He'll be ready for the 29th. It's like, wait, what? How do you know? It's rehab. So, I mean, there were kind of those moments where I felt like I wanted to believe it was a legit injury because I still want to believe that they're not that gimmicky. But at the same time, there were so many slip ups that it was like, all right, all right,
Well,
I see.
that's my thing is how do you know for sure he's going to be ready to go on the 29th? Because that's exactly what Kelly said. He'll be ready to go on the 29th. Well, yeah, how do you know?
If he's truly injured, how do you know?
Right.
You know,
That's why it seemed like a wink, wink, nudge, nudge injury to me.
right.
You know.
Yeah, and now that you say that, I kind of get it. I was really buying into it because that's what I was hoping, because that's what I want, is I want to believe that NJPW is not going to do that shady shit.
Well, that's kind of short-sighted of you, just because
I know it's
if
wrestling.
it well no because more than that, but because if it's a second major injury, if it's a second injury to that same area, the neck or the shoulder in two
Less than
years,
2 years.
3 years, then that really kind of like narrows his chances of being a pillar like we think he can be. I mean, I think Hiromu Takahashi. I don't think he has a ceiling. I think he could. I think he could be the next Okada or the next Tanahashi for this company if he can stay healthy.
Okay, now I don't want to interrupt this greatness of NJPW talk, but I'm watching. I've got the Summer Struggle results pulled up, and there's an ad on the side, and they just showed previews of two of the best shows, best sci-fi shows I've ever seen in my life, and I need to know: have you seen them? Now I know you've seen one, Battlestar Galactica.
I've seen
The,
both
n-
versions of Battlestar Galactica.
but have you seen the new one? The
I've seen both versions of Battlestar Galactica.
okay, yeah,
Yeah.
all right, okay, and the second one, which by the way was amazing. I never saw the first version. I saw the second version. The second version was amazing. The other show that they showed was a show called Heroes.
from NBC.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was good for about a season and a half.
I love. Well, yeah, you're right. Once they hit the writer strike and Peter Petrelli lost his powers, it lost everything.
Yeah.
Once he was only able to hold on to one power as opposed to all the powers, and he and Siler had that little whatever the hell they had, it kind of jumped the shark, and I was done with it. But that first, probably, I'd say 2.5 seasons were
No,
amazing.
because it was the second season that was shortened by the writer's strike, and I didn't think it was good after that. So
Was it?
I
I thought it was the third season that was. What was the one was the season that he and Siler ended up in the whatever alternate universe together and they became besties?
I don't remember because I kind of lost interest. I kind of like
Okay,
watched
fair
it
enough.
like when I opened, but yeah, the first season was absolutely great.
And Peter Petrelli to me is one of the greatest superheroes of all time. I love the fact that he was able to do what he did and was able to be the sponge and get all the powers and everything about it I loved. So I'm
And
sorry, I sidetracked there. You know.
and true to my contrary nature, HRG was my favorite character on that show.
Oh, when he's there was one phrase he said, and for the love of Christ, I can't remember it. When somebody broke out, he goes, "Well, that was unexpected,"
Yeah,
or no, it wasn't that. It's, well, that's less than desirable, or whatever it was. That one phrase has stuck with me since what 2002 when that show came out.
yeah, 2004.
Okay,
So because I just moved up here to the Iron Range.
yeah, you're right though. H.G. Wells was probably the best between H.G. Wells and
Wait,
Peter
wait,
Petrelli.
H.G. Wells,
No,
HRG.
oh my God.
Yeah,
Oh, I need a nap.
but
Between
that
HRG and Peter Petrelli, those two were my favorites of that show and were throughout the series. And even though it kind of jumped the shark there after Petrelli lost his powers, it was still great.
yeah,
It was one of those things where it was like, okay, I'm all in.
that show had a great early example. Well, one of the earliest things to take advantage of the new smartphone craze and have the
Right?
viral marketing campaign with the save the cheerleader, save the world stuff.
Yep.
I mean, it was a great show and a great season anyway. But I think that having that viral message go out there really helped it along.
Anyway, we digress because I saw a commercial.
Well, I saw an ad too when I was coming out, and I can't believe that. I'm looking at this and I'm like, what a fucking sellout! Because it looks like CM Punk's going to be on the pre-show for SummerSlam.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
And we talked about that last night on our Patreon exclusive show. And by the way, patreon.com/Kingdom of Honor. Go there, listen to it. We talked about Showdown in the Sun Night 2 and Michael Bennett. There was a lot of CM Punk stuff. So we kind of talked about this last night. It's just, I loved CM Punk the wrestler. I did not like CM Punk the character outside of the wrestling, if that makes sense.
Sure.
I loved what he did in the ring. I loved his promos. I thought he was a hell of a storyteller. Everything about him I loved. But when he became this bigger than life type character in 2011, I hated everything outside of what he did in the ring.
Oh my God.
What?
I just pulled up the SummerSlam card.
Don't. No, I don't want to know. I don't.
Dominic Mysterio versus Seth Rollins is one of the matches.
Did you see on Raw last night they had this
why,
Raw?
why would I see Raw?
I'm just. Yeah, you didn't see any results or
I
anything?
have not paid attention to
No
any
news
WWE
stories,
results. I have not
nothing?
paid attention to any WWE results at all since WrestleMania.
Okay. They had this thing called WWE Underground, which is hosted by Shane McMahon. And basically, what it is UFC with WWE wrestlers.
Oh, good.
It was the reviews. I haven't seen it. I'm probably going to go back, watch it on Hulu. just because I have to see if it was the train wreck that everyone is saying it is. But from what I've seen, it was god awful.
So it's like 2020's version of Brawl for All.
Kinda, yeah.
Yeah,
Even worse though,
that's great.
right? Yeah, it's probably going to be gone in a month. But knowing WWE, they don't have a real long trigger finger. But from what I've seen as the reviews, it was fucking god awful.
Yeah, so here's the lineup for SummerSlam so far, Jeff. The Street
Don't,
Profits,
no, 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 I don't care.
the Street Profits versus
No.
Andrade and Angel Garza.
Okay, that could be good.
Drew McIntyre versus Randy Orton.
No. Yeah, well, yeah, because.
Apollo Crews versus MVP.
Nope.
And Dominic Mysterio. Dominic Mysterio versus Seth.
So you take a trainee and throw him against one of the best in the world? Brilliant. Brilliant. I saw something today that actually kind of made sense. They rank the over 40 performers, people that are over 40 in the WWE and AEW. And to be honest, there were a lot that I didn't realize were over 40.
Mm-hmm.
But number one on that list was AJ Styles.
Yeah.
And, the more and more I think about it, AJ was always that guy who was too small. He was never the guy that would ever be a WWF performer or WWE performer. And the fact that not only did he debut in WWE, but he has been literally the highlight now of WWE programming for 4 years, really speaks to how great AJ Styles is. I mean, you and I have been on his bandwagon for years. And we've even said he's the number two performer right behind Jericho of all time. But it was weird to see, or not weird, but it was kind of refreshing to see that other people are realizing that too.
Yeah. I mean, it's. I think that it was just kind of the he had to get on that main stage and get people behind him because it's easy to be a big fish in a small pond.
Right.
It's not so easy to be a big fish in the world of WWE, and this has proved that whether it's Impact, W or WWE, he doesn't stay at the top very long.
No, and he comes in, he shines. He is the ultimate professional in every match he does. Every match he does, I can't remember the last time AJ had less than a 3.5 star match.
Hmm.
Plain and simple. TV match or pay per view, doesn't matter. 3.5 stars. For a guy to be that consistent for decades, to be, I mean, he called himself the face that runs the place. And I watched today when I saw that, there was a clip of his match against Daniel Bryan in the Intercontinental Title Series tournament, whatever. And I watched that match and I'm looking at it going, holy shit, this is a great match. Like, legitimately to the point where I was like, looking at, we've been kind of doing a running total. I mean, we're doing AJ Styles. That's one of our Desert Island series that's coming up. And by the way, guys, I'm going to start doing a couple of free ones of those here and there on patreon.com so you can kind of get a taste of what we do. But the next one we're doing is AJ Styles. The match he had against Daniel Bryan, and at the time, I think he was, what, 41? For him to put on the match he did was flat out amazing. Amazing. And I know it was against Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan is still one of the greatest ever, even though he's, what, 39. But you got a guy who's 41 and against a guy who's 39. You don't expect that kind of greatness to come out of them.
Well,
Oh,
wait, wait,
wait.
wait, wait. Why don't you? Because that's kind of like the prime years for pro wrestling, right?
Oh, but wait. We just saw a 52-year-old against a 52-year-old tear down the fucking house.
Um, the other
Sorry,
thing, the other
I
thing with
digressed.
I was gonna say with Styles, like I got to see him. I've only seen him wrestle live one time, and that was at a SmackDown right before WrestleMania whatever it was that he faced up against Shane McMahon, and that was against Luke Harper, and that was a 4-star match on a SmackDown. So
Right.
that's I was very appreciative that I got to see that match live. My one time I got a chance to see AJ.
I mean,
That's not true. I saw him live. That's not true. I forgot I saw him at Money in the Bank against Kazuchika against Shinsuke Nakamura too. So
from probably 2012 to 2018, I don't think AJ Styles TV match, SmackDown, Raw, pay-per-views, NJPW shows, TNA, whatever, Impact or pay-per-views. I don't think from 2012 to 2016 AJ put on less than a 4-star match.
yeah, that's probably fair.
I mean, that's just how good he was. And the only reason he's not the greatest of all time is because Chris Jericho. Let's be honest, Chris Jericho. That's the
Well,
only reason.
yeah, and if he had Jericho's personality, then he'd be the greatest of all time.
Oh, absolutely. But the fact that he's not able to cut the promos. I mean, AJ's a great in-ring performer. Probably, I would say right now that AJ is a better in-ring performer than Jericho was at any point during their careers. Um, where Jericho gets him is on his mic skills, on his charisma, and here we go again. We talked about last night. I'm big on charisma.
No, see, no,
Um,
see, no, see. That's where charisma to me matters. Is if you've got two guys with comparable skills everywhere else, then charisma can be a tiebreaker there.
and Jericho has that over
Exactly.
AJ.
Right. Jericho has that over AJ, and and even though AJ's improved on the mic over the years, especially when he got coaching in WWE,
Right.
Jericho's always been and always will be better than AJ on the mic.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. No question.
I do think that AJ is just as good in the commentary booth as Jericho is.
Yes, but in a different way. I mean, Jericho brings so much of his personality to the commentary booth that he's like shouting out this and that, and it makes sense. AJ is more of a laid back commentator.
Hmm.
To be honest, if I had to pick one of the two to be a color guy going forward, I would pick AJ because I think
I would too because I think he's not as much diarrhea of the mouth as Jericho is.
Jericho
He lets the moments breathe some, and he lets the other guys talk. So
and Jericho is loudmouth and just running at his mouth and just yelling as much as he can. Yeah, you're right. I agree.
yeah.
I
So
agree.
we're on the same page there, surprisingly.
Yeah, shocking, right? Over the last 5 years we've been doing this, how many times have we not been on the same page? Oh, Sean Spears.
Mike Bennett,
Yeah, that too.
Daga.
There's a no, not Daga. Speaking of which, I'm probably going to get in trouble for this. I'm probably going to get the show in trouble for this, but I have been on Instagram following I can't think of her name now, Jordan for Impact.
Oh, Jordan Grace.
Holy shit, is she hot?
Is she?
Oh my god, yes.
Okay.
Like her stuff on yeah, I never really thought that watching her as a wrestler, but I've been following her on Instagram and oh my god.
Interesting.
Anyone follow Jordan Grace on Instagram, you will not regret it. Plain and simple, male, female. She does workout videos. She does just pics of herself, modeling pics of herself, pics of her in the ring. Everything that she does really is a highlight into just how people kind of look at themselves. And to be honest, I am honestly going to say this right now. I think she might be one of the hottest women in Impact. And a lot of that is because of what I've seen on her Instagram.
Well, I blow your mind right now, Jeff. I don't even have an Instagram account.
Hook it up, bro. You won't regret it.
You're supposed to be shocked by that revelation.
No, I'm not. Yeah, it's you. Is there anything you do that shocks me at this point? Anyway, are we going to talk about New Japan at any point tonight?
No, we
Because
are.
we're
Yeah, one thing that struck me on this show and is I really I really like the way they've kind of been rehabbing Sonata in these shows. I don't know how many of the I don't know how many of the summer struggles which you've actually watched, but um, he has gotten now 4 victories with submission
yep,
in the 5 tag matches that he's been in since
watched.
since Dominion.
I've watched
So
3 of the shows.
okay,
So, and I mean, we kind of held our own on this one from last Friday because it was Nagata versus Suzuki.
and they've been a lot and they've been a lot of comparable matches otherwise. I mean, it's been basically the same lineup. So
Pretty much. I I'm a little worn out on the tag matches. I want to see a few more individual matches.
it's New Japan, dude.
I know.
They don't happen in big moments.
I get that. And I'm fine with that to a point, but at the same time I'm like, come on, give me more than one single match a show, please.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I'm going to keep following the summer struggle cards unless we have other singles matches on there, like they're they're building clearly to Makabe versus Gabriel Kidd.
Right.
So hopefully that happens in one of these
Which
Row 2 shows coming up soon.
holy shit. Fucking Gabriel Kid. That dude is going to be the next Shibata. And I mean, you're like me. Shibata was probably I love AJ, I love Jericho, I love Orton, I love Shibata to me was the man. Like no matter what Shibata did, that was what I wanted to watch. Gabriel Kidd, since he went to NJPW, is quickly becoming that guy.
Absolutely, yeah, he was. Yeah, Shibata was my favorite wrestler in the world when he um, had that unfortunate accident that he caused himself. I mean, I try to make sure I say that every time because it wasn't something that something else did to him. He did it to himself. You know, so
It was just wear and tear.
it was stupid.
Yeah. It was. It was because he
And and and
didn't
and,
heed
and, if,
doctor's warnings and
and if I'm not mistaken, you haven't even watched it happen yet, right?
no, and I never will.
And you never will. Yeah.
I've told you that. It's there's few moments throughout history that I will never watch, and that's one of them. Simply because I don't want to see the moment when my favorite whatever it was died. And he didn't die, but what we knew of him as Shibata, the in-ring wrestler, the wrestler, died that night. And
Yeah.
I will never watch that match ever.
Yeah. I was watching it as it happened, and I also was watching it live as the night that Owen Hart died too. So I mean, those are the two things that I kind of watched happen on that. They're things that make you think about, like, do I really want to keep watching this stuff?
It's not just that, but it kind of brings that surreal moment. I mean, let's face it, we're watching a male soap opera. That's what wrestling is. It's an escape from our realities from a male point of view. And when you see real life stuff happen, it's really kind of surreal. Like, I have a hard time, and I've watched it a couple of times, but the Owen Hart match against Stone Cold, when he broke Stone Cold's neck for the first time.
Hmm.
To me, that's still hard to watch because that was a real life moment happening in a drama. Could you imagine if it was a regular soap opera on NBC on a Thursday afternoon, somebody got shot for real?
You
That's
mean,
kind of
oh,
what that feels.
that happened on Angel when Lindsey McDonald died. Remember?
Yeah, but I'm trying not to forget. I'm trying to forget that moment because
Yeah.
I'm just saying it's a similar thing. And the problem is with wrestling, we see it more often than we do in real life show. Like Brandon Crow dying during the filming of The Crow. Yes, we saw that on film, or not Brandon Crow.
Brandon Lee.
Yeah, when he died, in that scene in The Crow, and they left that scene in, and then just went through it, and you just mentioned on Angel, and there's been other shows throughout time where that's happened, but in wrestling, it's a whole different thing because it can happen every single time these guys are out there.
Right.
And when it does happen, it's such a surreal moment.
Yeah. I mean, and for almost 2 straight years, it looked like it had happened to um, Hiromu Takahashi too.
Yep.
We had
Well,
we had no idea if he would ever actually, there were rumors of a return. It wouldn't happen. So I mean, it seemed like we would never see Hiromu. That Hiromu's career had been killed that night against his good friend and frequent sparring partner in Dragon Lee.
right.
So
And that was just a missed move. Ultimately, that's what it was, just a missed move.
yeah, accidents can happen at any, and it wasn't even that dangerous. It wasn't even considering all the crazy shit those two do to each other. It was one of the tamer spots that they do that it happened.
Right.
You know. So. Not that it isn't a dangerous move for anybody else to perform. I'm just saying that considering what those two do in their as I once described their match at New Beginning in Osaka in 2017, it's two planes crashing into each other over and over. So
Right.
you know, um, yeah. So another thing about this show, it's just kind of what I mentioned earlier that how many times can I watch Kazuchika Okada take on Yujiro Takahashi? I mean, it just
Forever. Forever.
it
I mean,
feels
the last two matches we saw,
it feels like such a waste of Okada, but at the same time, I don't want Okada like in the upper card either. So I mean, it's kind of a weird limbo that I'm in with Okada right now.
I'm truly amazed at how Takahashi has been. How he has actually risen to Okada's level. I mean, we talked about this last time, and I was like, this is not the Takahashi I know. And you were like, well, he's a really good wrestler and blah, blah. I loved his gimmick. I didn't realize how good he is in the ring. Had that man had a better gimmick, he could have been up there with Okada on that same level. Watching those two in the ring and their in ring performances is fascinating. Like, I could watch them all the time and enjoy it every time. And I did tonight as well, or this show as well.
Well, that's why I was so excited. When we talked about Evil winning the world championship from Naito, because for years New Japan has been structured like this, where there was so many talented guys that are just kind of in a line behind the four pillars. And Evil winning the title when he's not even close to that level, he may be eventually, they may be pushing him to that level, but he was not at the time he won the title. It makes it feel like it's more wide open than it's ever been. Takahashi is talented. Um, Yoshihashi is talented. You know, um, you've got Sonata, of course, and you've got Ishii, and you've got Goto, and none of those guys did it really feel like ever, other than Sonata, was going to get pushed to that top level.
Right.
And now it feels like since Evil won the title, it feels more wide open than I've ever seen New Japan feel ever, even like in 1992 when I first saw them. So I mean, it feels like that pecking order, while it's still there, is no longer an insurmountable glass ceiling for these guys. So one of these guys stepping up and winning the world title now that Evil has done it feels more probable, I should say more possible than I ever expected it to feel.
Why do you think that is? Honestly. I mean, throughout the last few years, we've let a lot of Gaijins in, a lot of Ring of Honor stars in. Do you think it's more now because of the virus and the fact that people cannot travel in? We're not getting Jay White. We lost Kenny Omega. We lost, so many of the Gaijins. Now it's just the Japanese wrestlers who resided in Japan. We have a few, Gabriel Kidd. I can't think of the guy's name, but they're mainly young lions. As far as the legit wrestlers and the ones at the upper card, they're all Japanese at this point.
Um, it's really hard to say, man, because you look at it and you're like, was this a spot that Jay White was supposed to get? Because
Probably.
because he faced Naito at Wrestle Kingdom, then he beat um who did he beat in night two? He beat Ibushi in night two at Wrestle
Yep.
Kingdom.
And
So and
keep
so
in mind,
and
he also beat
and
Naito in a couple of matches before that.
yeah, and he was in an absolute dynamite top five match from 2019 too.
Yep.
Um, and he was kind of supporting Kenta, with kind of like kind of a sly smile on his face, like I know you're not going to get him done, but you're going to soften him up for me. So I mean, it feels like a spot that Jay White probably would have gotten.
Yep.
But are we ever going to know that? Are we ever going to know that? I don't think they're ever going to talk about that. So,
Probably not.
and clearly they have this waiting in the wings for a while, because regardless of the kayfabe stuff about it, it's really true that it takes a while to put together a video like that. It takes a while to put together the music, to put together the outfits that Evil's wearing now. And goddamn, does he look good in that stuff? I mean, he really does.
I
He looks
still
like a star.
really,
I mean,
I
and
still, as much as I love his new performance, his in ring entrance, everything, I still really miss that music from his old entrance.
oh, not me.
Something about that guitar riff, I don't know what it was, but ultimately, what he's doing now, his entrance is fucking amazing. Everything about it. Even the fact that he's no longer doing the purple hair is now kind of like some blondish stuff.
Yeah, it's just the thing though with it is, regardless of why it happened, um, did it have to happen? I guess is the thing. They could have very easily kept the title on Naito all the way through the end of the year.
Yep.
Which is why it's going to feel very weird to me if Naito wins the title back in that Open Stadium show on August 29th, because it's like, well then, I mean, yeah, you maybe you gave Evil a trial run. You look to see if he could be a star, which he clearly is showing that he can be. But then otherwise, what was the point of it, really? So it feels to me like Naito should lose again at that show.
I don't think Naito.
I think Evil should hold the title at least through KOPW.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I don't think. I think Naito at G1 should win it, win the G1, and then or he should win the title from Evil at Wrestle Kingdom. That would bring the story full tilt.
So you really think that I mean, I would like to see Evil hold the title through Wrestle Kingdom, but face Sonata for it, as you know.
Well,
Um,
yeah,
you know,
and I know, or Tanahashi, but the problem is we already saw Tanahashi get beat. I think this is a perfect opportunity to elevate the best wrestler on the planet, which is Hiromu Takahashi. Sorry, my bad.
Wait, you think Hiromu is a better wrestler than Will Ospreay and Ray Phoenix and Kenny Omega?
Yeah, I do. I have bought more into his stories, regardless of junior, heavyweight, whatever they are, than I have in Osprey's. And maybe it's recency biased. We haven't seen Osprey wrestle since what, April? Ray Phoenix is more of a tag team guy. We've only seen one solo match from him against Nick Jackson. So, but right now, if I were to say who is the guy that I think is the best wrestler in the world, it's Hiromu. Simply from what he did leading up to the outbreak and the stoppage, and then what he did in the New Japan Cup. His match against Ishii is one of my favorites of this year. And then what he did against Okada, and then again in the tag match, it's just I don't know that I can think of somebody better right now than Hiromu.
Okay, counterpoint to that.
Go for it.
First of all, I do think there's a lot of recency bias, but yeah, he did have some. He definitely has had some outstanding performances this year. But don't you also have to take into account the injuries? So I mean, he's been back since December.
Right.
and he had 4 months off, and if the shoulder injury is really legit, you have to really have to question, like, because to me, you know MVP stands for most valuable player, and the best ability is availability. And if he is injured again and out for a month, and it's a legitimate injury, um, then that means it's two. He came back from injury in December. He's already injured again on the shelf 8 months later, while having 4 months off, which means that he may be just too injury prone to be at that level. Um,
Okay.
but I would still say I would take Will Ospreay over anybody on the planet. It's like if you take Phil Ivey over the poker field at any poker tournament. I'll take Will Ospreay over the field at any professional wrestler right now
And
for two fucking years
had
running.
had that been the case, and had I've seen him since April.
Yeah,
We're now in August. We're 4 months without seeing an Osprey match.
I
So
think that's going
I've
to
got
change.
to,
I think that's going to change very shortly too.
and if it does, and Osprey comes in October, November, December, and tears the shit up, my opinion will change. Right now, as far as 2020 wrestlers go, and I know you and I are talking about, wrestlers we've seen this year, Roddy, um, Eddie Edwards, Davey Richards, they're all in it. But ultimately, when it comes down to 2020, the best wrestler I've seen this year is Hiromu. He is the only guy that has been out there in every week, and mainly because I don't watch WWE. If I did, maybe it would be AJ Styles, maybe it would be Seth Rollins. I don't know. But right now, you, me, this show, we're New Japan, we're Ring of Honor, we're whatever wrestling we can find. And right now, Hiromu is the best wrestler I have seen this year. He started it strong. He went strong until the outbreak. He came back after that outbreak and had an amazing New Japan Cup. Amazing. I don't care that he lost in the semifinals to Okada. His matches against Ishii and Okada are two of the best matches I've seen this year. And then he comes back and it's tag matches and whatever. If he continues on the stretch he is going and comes back in this match against Ishimori and throughout the rest of the year and performs at the level he has been, he will be my wrestler of the year.
Yeah,
And saying that,
I can
I
understand. I can totally understand that. My leader in the clubhouse right now is still Michael Elgin. But but guess
well,
what? But
but a
guess what?
lot of that's
But
because we saw Ring of
no, it's
Honor
not.
show
No, it's not.
2012.
No, I'm talking about the stuff in 2020
You
because
think?
I saw a lot of the Impact stuff that you didn't see. Um, because I watched matches in Impact you didn't watch.
That's
But
fair enough.
the problem
That's
with
fair.
that is that he's not going to have any more matches the rest of the year.
No, he's not. You know,
Mine might end up being um might end up being Hiromu as well. But right now, because I think he's has the body of work to for it in 2020. It's Michael Elgin.
and
But but
if
but
I'd
but but that
if
that
I'd
but,
watched
but,
the
but that
same
does but that
Impact,
does but that doesn't mean that I think Michael Elgin is the best wrestler on the planet.
and if I'd seen the same impacts and whatever everything you've watched, I might agree with that. What I've seen is Hiromu, 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 Hiromu. I don't know anybody that I have seen this year that has been better than Hiromu.
It's also gonna be very tempting for me to have Evil in that discussion too.
Okay.
If he keeps on the pace that he's at right now,
Yes.
it's going to be very difficult for me not to have Evil in that discussion too.
Evil has really picked it up since the stay at home order, and he's capitalized. If he runs out the year on this, I mean, think about it. We're at August. We still have half the damn year to go.
Yep.
So much can change. I'm just saying right now, from what I've seen, Hiromu, Osprey, Elgin, and then because of the other stuff we watched, Roddy Roderick, and Eddie Edwards. Those are my top five.
Yeah, and my WWE wrestler of the year is still
AJ
Ed,
Styles.
Edge.
Oh, come on. He had one match.
He had two. The two matches I saw were my favorite two matches of WWE this year. So therefore, he's my wrestler of the year right now.
But ultimately, that was the only two matches you saw, so that doesn't
no, I
count.
no, I saw every match of the Royal Rumble. And I saw every match at WrestleMania. So
All right, I got you. Yeah, I got you.
I mean, just because your WWE match of the year is the Money in the Bank match.
Jesus, really? Oh my God, that was horseshit. Don't make me relive that. Someday, guys, we're going to talk about that match because I don't think we have on the air yet.
No, we're not. I haven't
What
seen
a
it.
pile of shit that
I
was.
haven't seen it, and I'm not going to. So
You need to watch it just so
no,
we can talk about it because we need to
no,
do that to our faithful.
no,
The one fan that we have, we need to do that for.
no.
Anyway,
It's not
you
happening.
know, you messaged me to, or it
And
was
and, I,
today.
and I'll have you know that we've had 12 people listen to the show right now today. So
Really?
really,
All right. I love all 12 of you.
there you go. So yeah.
Anyway,
So let's talk about
there
the main.
was
Let's
one
go,
thing, there
go
was
ahead.
one thing you told me you wanted to talk about. It was during uh the main event, Suzuki versus Nagata.
Yeah, I know. I know. We've got almost an hour now, so I don't know if we're gonna have time to talk about what I wanted to talk about. But
Give it we'll give it 10 minutes. Let's
all right,
see. Bring it
all right,
up, bro.
all right, all right. So our favorite match of the year to this point has been Nagata versus Suzuki from New Japan.
Yes.
And this match I didn't think quite hit that level, but it was super good, super good. Um, and what I wanted to bring up in this match is the structure of it. And we saw something similar between I think it was Dragon Lee and um, Hiromu Takahashi earlier this year. Um, but it's a thing that you and I have talked about before, and I hate so fucking much when guys stand there and they hit each other, and they let it, they stand there like, okay, give me your best shot, and they go back and forth like that. But the reason I hate it is because when something like this happens in a match like this, or a match like Takahashi versus Dragon Lee, where it means something, it makes it mean a little less because you see it all the time.
Right.
And it's just, you know, it makes sense in certain contexts. It does not make sense all the goddamn time. Fucking Dragon Lee. So, you know, who I think is the worst offender for it. Um, and I think that when you've got guys like Suzuki and Nagata, or you've got guys like Shibata and Ishii, it makes sense to have those tough guys in the middle of the ring in a big spot in a main event match like this, or an ever open weight championship match, proving how tough they are going back and forth. But when you see it so often in other circumstances, it makes it mean a little less. And it's the same argument that I have against the finisher kick out. I don't hate finisher kickouts because people kick out of finishers necessarily. I hate it because it happens way too damn often. I mean, and therefore, like when we see it in a big spot, it no longer has the meaning it should have because I saw it happen in the third match on the card too. You know what I mean?
Right. Oh, I do. Exactly. And I had a thought. I lost it. Damn it.
Because
I
I'd say there's certain tropes in pro wrestling that hurt other ones in big spots, and I realized that
You still there?
watch such a breadth of organizations and shows that we see this a lot more than other people do probably, and it's not beholden on somebody in MLW to temper our expectations for a main event in New Japan.
Right.
But but the thing is that, like I'm saying, it happens on the same card multiple times on the same show. Like a couple I can think of are like WrestleMania 19,
Yep.
where there was three times in that show where the finish was a third finisher by the opponent. Um, or SummerSlam 2016, where it meant nothing to me that um, that Seth Rollins kicked out of the double stomp because I'd already seen Charlotte Flair have to use three of her natural selections to beat Sasha Banks, and that incredible Superman versus Incredible Hulk match between uh, John Cena and AJ Styles, where they hit each other with 1,000 finishers. You know, so I'm just saying that you have to like think about what else is on your card and just not fucking cripple yourselves. Or think about what matches coming up a month from now in your promotion and not cripple that main event when you're the undercard guys.
And that's on the bookers. And say what you will, the bookers should know what else is on that card before they start mapping out a match. And 90% of the bookers are the same guy that maps out every match. So is that the problem? Maybe because they have the same idea for every match.
Maybe, but that would mean that's very. But I mean, that would mean that there's a lack of storytelling among the agents in those positions.
Well, yeah. I mean, we already know that.
Yeah, that's what I wanted. That's what I thought was going to lead to a longer discussion. Just simply that it's because I think it really hurts the main eventers in those spots because now they can't do anything about it. They've already seen what's come before. They're in that spot. They're doing what they're told to do, and I'm sure a lot of times some of the other guys are as well. But it's still they're kind of hampered by what their undercard guys have done when they're supposed to be guys at the top of the card, drawing in the money and and having the most fan interest.
And that's probably why it didn't lead to a longer discussion is because I agree with you
Yeah,
100%. I ultimately the undercard needs to realize that they're the undercard. And yes, you can get a Shawn Michaels versus Undertaker. You can get a um AJ versus Christopher Daniels. But ultimately, the undercard is the undercard. They're not supposed to outshine the main event ever. There's a reason it's a main event. So if you're doing similar moves, similar whatever, stop. Just stop.
yeah, and along those same lines, like maybe if there was a superflex in the match before yours and the match before that, you don't want to do a superflex in your match too.
And that's on the agents. The agents need to communicate and say, hey, you know what? These guys 3 matches ago, they were planning this move. Maybe we should look away from that. I know you think it's going to be great. I know you think it's going to do the storytelling, whatever. But maybe let's try something else.
Yeah, and that's the same thing with the topes too. You don't
Yep.
need to do a tope in every single match because, again,
No, no, you
now it's
do.
nothing.
You do. You need to do one in every match.
Yeah, let's risk our lives for the same spot everybody else is doing in all the other matches. Makes a lot of sense. Huh. Wow. I don't usually get on the soapbox about things like that, but
No,
it really kind of struck me in this match that
get on the
that
soapbox.
you know
I love you.
that yeah, it really struck me in this match that as much as it meant to me in this one, it would have meant a lot more if I hadn't seen it 20 times already this year. You know,
True. To be honest, this match itself,
not to this extreme though. So go ahead.
to be honest, this match itself on a standalone basis was great. Not as great as their New Japan Cup match was, but I loved a lot of what I saw. I, like you though, wish I hadn't seen it before.
Yeah,
It really seemed like, I mean, this match went on, and I don't know how long. I'm throwing out darts right now, but about 20, 25 minutes.
20 minutes 36 seconds.
Okay. So I would say 17 minutes of this.
That's just off the top of my head.
I would say 17 minutes is what you're talking about, where we've seen this shit before. And not only from other wrestlers, but from these two. We just saw this match in the New Japan Cup, which was by far one of my top 5, maybe 6 matches this year. It was amazing. And then to see the exact same thing less than a month later.
And I don't care what the Undertaker does or um, what the Dark Order do or what the Fiend does. There's never going to be anything creepier than Minoru Suzuki getting slugged in the face and coming back laughing at
Right?
you. Nothing. I don't care. I don't want to be anywhere near that guy. I don't blame Don Callis or Gino Gambino at all.
Right. I was thinking of that actually when he was coming down to the ring. God, I miss Don Callis trying to run to the upper edge of the stadium. I just missed it.
Have you watched any of the Lions Break Collision yet?
I watched the first episode, yes.
Me too. It's really weird. That commentary is really weird because they're doing it from three different countries, and
Yep.
Kevin Kelly's kind of like playing like the intermediary. Like, Chris, what do you think about this? And then Gino, what are your thoughts on this situation? It's so odd because there's no real fluidity to it because they're not together. They can't like see about when the other's about to talk. They can't really have a natural conversation. So it's like um, Kevin Kelly is proctoring at the same time he's also trying to call the match. It's
Yeah.
very very odd.
And the one thing that he did during this, the one that we watched on last Friday, was he flat out said, Gino, and I can't remember the translator guy,
Chris
and
Charlton.
yeah, Chris and Rocky, I can't wait till we're in the same room together so we can do this
Yeah.
and be a part, be a team again. And he's right. I mean, when we watched Dominion, um, the combination of Rocky and Kevin Kelly was amazing. Like, I can't imagine how much, or I can't explain. I can imagine, yes. I can't explain how much I missed that back and forth.
Hmm.
And when I heard it between Kevin Kelly and, I mean, and it's tough because we've been watching a lot of EC or Ring of Honor, and we're going to start watching ECW for our show next week or 2 weeks. But ultimately, when you look at the real shows and the live shows and the new shows, that color guy brings so much to the show. When it's just Kevin Kelly, it's like, eh. But you throw in Rocky, you throw in Chris, you throw in Gino, it's a whole different show.
Yeah, and that's the thing about I like Kelly by himself too, but he does kind of get it does kind of get monologue, doesn't it?
Right.
Um,
Yes.
but the thing with and the other thing is just like they're such a good commentary team together. We talked about this before that I will take Kevin Kelly and Rocky Romero over any pairing in wrestling right now. And I really think that they shine when Gambino and Charlton are out there. They've got the great. I never thought a 4-man wrestling booth would work. They make it work. They gel so well together. It's just amazing. Um, but um, it's also a nice contrast though against what you and I were watching every Wednesday for a while, and we kind of fallen off of that now. But I I just do not like that commentary team on Wednesday nights. I don't. I don't like Jim Ross. Um, I think Tony and Excalibur would be great together. But I think Jim Ross being in there like really ruins the dynamic.
Well,
So
not just Jim Ross, but Jericho. I I love Jericho's commentary, but he is too much about Jericho. It's too much yelling, it's too much screaming, it's too much talking over everyone. And at some points, I want the play-by-play guy, whether it be Shivani or Excalibur, and I agree with you on Jim Ross. Time has passed, dude. Pasture, whatever. When Shivani and Excalibur are doing their shit, Jericho should not be in the booth contradicting them, tearing them down. How many times have we heard him tear down Excalibur?
Yeah.
And at this point, it's like, okay, you're a heel announcer. That's great. Love the heels. But don't tear down Excalibur, who's a new guy on the national scene. He needs to be built up at this point because he is the next Jim Ross, to be honest.
Well, and that's I think the other problem with Jim Ross being in that booth is that when Ross and Shivani are commentating together along with um, Excalibur, they kind of get into this old boys club and they're kind of making fun of Excalibur at times.
Yeah, and that's what bugs me because, to be honest, I think Excalibur, you can talk about Michael Cole and whoever this guy is, and Mauro Ranallo and whoever this guy is on SmackDown. Ultimately, I think Excalibur is the next generation's voice. Kevin Kelly has probably a good 10, 15 years in front of him. Ian Riccaboni is another guy, probably has a good 10, 15, maybe 20 years in front of him. But alternately, on the US side, Excalibur is the voice of our future. And for JR, for Jericho to dog him constantly really undermines that.
Yeah,
And to me, that's a big, big problem.
it is, and that's something that Jim Ross said on his podcast that he's mentoring him. Well, you're doing a
How is
shitty
he mentoring him
you're doing a shitty job of it, Jr.
when he's calling him out when he's drunk about saying something stupid?
I know,
If you're
totally.
mentoring him, support his ass because he is the future JR. Plain and simple.
Yeah, I mean, I think Excalibur. The closest comparison I can say for Excalibur is Joey Styles. But he just doesn't
You
have.
think so?
Well, because he knows all the names of the moves, and he has like the more in-depth commentating. He doesn't have like the shrillness of Styles or the over-the-top selling of it. But I think it's the closest that I can think of.
You think more so than Shivani? Shivani back in the probably mid to early 90s was huge on the moves. Always was on point with everything. It wasn't until Hogan and the NWO took over that he became that shill for what's coming up. But if you listen to Shivani from 92 to 96, I'm going to compare Excalibur more to that.
Fair enough. I mean, I guess I'd have to go back and watch that, but and I probably don't have time to do it. So
Neither
I
one of us do.
because my memories of WCW was the guy that always called that called the moves and had the more in-depth analysis was Mike Tenay. So
Yeah. Well, yeah, the late 90s. But Shivani in probably the early to mid 90s, I don't know there was anyone better. Vince brought a lot of enthusiasm, but ultimately, when it came to calling the moves, when it came to bringing the story, I think Shivani was better.
yeah, so
That's
I'm
just me. I watch both programs. That's just me.
that's fair. That's fair. I mean, the bottom line to me is I think that they'd be a lot better with a two-man booth and it not being JR in there.
Yeah. I think, and
And I wouldn't mind Jericho if he would just pop in from now and then, but they've had him commentating way too much. It's like they like, oh, you did a great job during COVID, so here we'll have you come in every other
right,
episode. No, you
you're
don't have
right.
to do that. So
I agree. I definitely agree with that. I
uh,
love Jericho, but ultimately he's got to stop. He gets way too over the top.
yes, yes, he does. Um, I know you wanted. I know. Do you still want to talk about the AEW women's division, or do you want
I
to save that? Or do you
do,
want to save
but
that
I
for a week?
don't
Okay.
because it's maddening. To me, AEW is becoming WWE light at this point. We're not changing the world like they said they would. And we talked about this what a month and a half ago, but they're legitimately not changing the world like they said they would. They're coming in, and we have the men's title, we have the tag titles, we have the women's title. Oh wait, here's a secondary title. We're going to do an open challenge that was done like 3 years ago, and now a women's tournament for tag team titles. Really? Where are they changing the world?
No, I mean we talked about this with when the TNT title first was announced, and that how it was such a bad idea to bring on a mid card championship, and the only title that they should have added, and I said this before, was a trios championship because they had so many teams of 3 people each. It made sense to do that.
Right.
It's not to have a TNT title, and even though the women's division has been a bright spot, maybe the brightest spot on Dynamite lately, um, having a women's tag division when they have a shortage of women even in the division as it is makes no sense to me at all.
It dilutes what we have loved.
Yep,
Like, we fell in love with Hikaru Shikita. Shikita, is that right?
Hikaru Shida.
Yeah. We fell in love with her. We fell in love with Nia Jax. We fell in love with you know, how many others throughout. Chris Statlander and so on. The fact that they're doing this almost leads me to believe that it's Brandy Rhodes and Allie, or the Bunny. Which, let's look at this. Now we have two Rhodes with a championship title, two higher ups in the company with a championship title, and two higher ups that are not going to lose it. And I don't care what Cody is. Oh, he's going to turn heel. That motherfucker has been heel for 6 months.
Yep.
Cheer him all you want. I don't care if he actually turns heel or whatever. He has been heel for 6 months. And if you bring Brandy and Allie into that mix, all of a sudden AEW becomes the one thing I hated about WWE:
What's that?
ratings and American psychology.
Yeah, I have it's been a very steep decline in my interest in AEW. And a lot of it is Cody being the TNT champion. A lot of it was the TNT championship being created in the first place, and now a women's tag team title tournament or tag team championship when there's no need for it whatsoever. They're doing it just to do it. Just and yeah, like you said, they're being WWE light. WWE has a women's tag team title. We said we were going to push the women hard and we were going to push tag team wrestling hard. So let's have a women's tag team title when we really don't even push our tag team division that much anymore. Even though they were the selling point of our show to start with.
You want to do
It's so stupid. It's
you
fucking
want
ridiculous.
you want to change the world? Do what I brought up 6 months ago. I want Monday night tag team wrestling, Tuesday night women's wrestling, Thursday night or Wednesday, whatever, uh, juniors, junior heavyweights. Friday night, I want heavyweights. I want a wrestling show on every single night, an hour long. Bring your divisions. Don't give me Wednesday night, Monday night, Friday night. Oh, we're going to do it all. No, fuck that. You want to change the world? Bring it to me every night, a different division. I will watch what I want. I don't personally want to watch the heavyweights. Not saying I do or don't, but if I don't want to watch them, I don't have to. I can watch the juniors, I can watch the tag team, and so on. Divide it up. You want to change the world, then let's change the world. Right now, AEW has gone from let's change the world to
Let's change the
let's
channel.
let's be whatever everybody kind of wants. They want tag team wrestling, they want great matches, they want great. You gave us tag team wrestlings, you gave us great matches, you gave us horseshit storytelling. Break it up. Plain and simple. You want to change the world? Give me the helm for 20 minutes. Let's talk to the fucking networks. Let's say, hey, TNT, on Monday at 11, we're going to do women's wrestling. On Tuesday at 10:50, we're going to do tag team wrestlings. Wednesday at 8 o'clock, we're going to do, let's break this up and change the world. Let's not shove everything down everybody's neck every time you're out. Give people what they want to see. Some people want women's wrestling. Some people want to see the Bucks and tag team wrestling. Some people want to see the heavyweights. Give them what they want to see.
That's interesting. Interesting idea. I don't know. Um, but I do know that there's very little separation now in AEW and NXT.
Yeah,
So
I agree. I
and
agree.
and that drives me nuts because I was so gung ho for AEW when it started. I mean, as our listeners know,
As both of us were.
I went to All In, I went to All Out. I was going to go to All Out again this year, and now I don't even want to watch their weekly show. So
And
I
I'm
I
right there with you. I was,
I really
I
see
didn't
I
go
really
to them, but
yeah, and like my wife said when I told her that last week, she's like, yeah, until until like for another like 6 months and you'll be watching it again. I said maybe, but that's the point is they're not doing things that I want to see at all. So
right.
there's no point in me following it. There's no point in me devoting 2 hours of my week to um to watching a product that I don't enjoy anymore. And I'm also not at the point of my wrestling fandom where we're having an appointment television every week at the same time fits into what I want to do as a wrestling fan. So
Exactly.
there's too many other choices out there.
And that might be why DAD has died.
TNT?
DAD.
Oh, DAD? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Because ultimately, it's like I want to get on here and I want to talk about positivity. I want to talk about Suzuki and, oh, Jesus, name, Nagata. Um, I want to talk about the greatness. Even though it's not the greatest match we've seen between the two, it was still really good. That's what I want to talk about. I don't want to talk about another women's tournament. I don't want to talk about Cody being Cody. I don't want to talk about Jericho screaming over everybody. A lot of that is why I have had a real problem with Dynamite for the last, Jesus, 4 or 5 months.
I also don't want to talk about towel booking.
That too. So,
I mean
yeah.
that's how it should be in wrestling for the rest of all time right now, right? Jeff, is that you should always have a second. That second should always have a towel with them, and when you're in trouble, they should always be throwing that towel in every single match.
Yes, they should. Because
No more pinfalls, no more submissions, no countouts or disqualifications. Just if your second throws in the towel, you lost.
Taz did it, so why not? Taz did it with the fucking machine. What the fuck? He's billed as the machine. And you threw a fucking towel. Sorry. Breathe in.
Well, even machines can get sand in their gears, Jeff.
No, no, he's a fucking machine.
No, you're right. When you're
Sorry,
right, you're right, and you're right.
I'm bad.
So anyway, anything else for this week?
No,
I think that's a pretty good topic to end on. So
that might have been. Yes, guys, patreon.com. Hit it up. You go to patreon.com/Kingdom of Honor. You can get a lot of exclusive coverage. Different tiers. You can listen to our archive. You can listen to our exclusive things we did last night.
I don't cry. I
Showdown.
don't cry very often.
Oh my God. Last night we did Showdown in the Sun, night two, with the best match of 2012. And we talk about it, which is great. You can also listen to us on YouTube, youtube.com/Kingdom of Honor. Hit the like button, subscribe button, ring the notification bell. Do that same thing for youtube.com/LOP Calvin and channel of a long time.
Sure.
And then, of course, Twitter. Use the hashtag KOH. I'm at Regi Co-op. He is at Zaman LOP. We'll follow you back. Just saying.
And like we were just mentioning, there's no more Dynamite After Dark, so don't tune into that tomorrow night. You'll be disappointed. On Thursday, check out MCLP Radio Adventure. This weekend should be the next episode of the WWF The Legacy series, and then we'll be back with you next Tuesday to talk about. I think we're talking about Ring of Honor, right, Jeff?
Yeah. Wait. No. Next Tuesday we are not. Ring of Honor is exclusive. Next Tuesday.
No, and I thought we were talking. No, I thought we were talking about what we expect from Ring of Honor for the next
Oh yeah.
coming
Yeah.
night.
Sorry. My bad.
That's all right.
Um, top 5 things we want to see from Ring of Honor on their return, and also some more Mount Rushmore. We have a few things we can talk about there.
All right. Bring your A game.
I don't have an A game, dude. I have like a C and a half.